Hello, this is the Vapes4Vets podcast brought to you by Namaste Technologies. I'm joined today by Cody Blackwell. How's it going, Cody?
It is going well. It's a sunny day in Washington, so it's always good.
Were you born in Washington or did you move there recently?
Um, I was born in Bismarck, Missouri, and I moved to Tennessee when I was 9, and I came out here in 2005 for the military, and I've never left. I have a kid here, so
And
stuck.
you served in the U.S. Army?
Yes, I did 5.5 years active duty in the U.S. Army as a 11 Bravo, which is an infantryman, until I was medically discharged.
And why were you medically discharged?
Um, I sustained injuries in my tour to Iraq, which occurred from '07 to '09.
Was that your only tour?
Yeah,
So
I,
go ahead.
I was gonna go back for a second tour with the same unit, and that's when I was in the middle of being medically chaptered out, and they tried to get me to like put that on hold to do another tour, but I had a son, so I decided for my better well-being for me and my family at the time to not do a second deployment.
Which area were you deployed in?
We Half of our tour was in Baghdad, the first part of it, and then we went up to Dora, which is I believe in the northeastern part. To be fair and to forewarn before you, before we continue, I have TBI and my memory's not great, which might be a blessing in disguise. That most of my deployment is not even it's a blur to me. So that could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Maybe that's why I'm better off that way. In all fairness,
How many months was your tour?
I was deployed for 18 months.
That's a longer tour on the spectrum of how long tours are.
Well, not long tours, but the normal tour is a year. We were in '07. There was an initial push to put more ground troops on the in Iraq, and we were a part of that initial push. That was around the same time as when all the stop loss and all that stuff was going on.
What stop
So
loss?
um, that's when, and I had a few buddies that went through this. It's when your time is up that you agreed to do, and they're like, "Nah, you're gonna go do a deployment."
Oh, I've heard of this. There was actually
A movie about it with Channing Tatum, I believe. It was not a great movie, but it was kind of like it was accurate to, like, I'm sure soldiers will say they hate that movie, but like I felt like that represented the true feeling of everybody that I knew and my brothers that went through this, that were forced into something that they didn't agree to. So,
that's had a lot of, on top of the traumatizing things they've seen overseas. That must have added a lot of stress and could have contributed to PTSD. That initial shock of no,
oh,
you're going back.
I I had a buddy, and one of my buddies that killed himself that was a veteran was a guy who we came back from the deployment and he was supposed to get out. Well, they sent him paperwork to go to a different base, and those people were deploying in like 3 or 4 months, and he ended up committing suicide.
Like before he went or on the
Yeah,
base he was assigned.
Uh, it was down in El Paso, I believe, and while he was down there before they went, he ended up killing himself.
And I know
So,
the viewers can't see, but you're wearing a 22 too many shirt. Um, that organization, I've talked to a couple guys in it. Um, Randy Madden, Patrick Seifert, Michael Krawitz. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
so 22 Too Many is a organization that our motto is to end veteran suicide by all means. And 20 to 22, and I'm not sure, Patrick, who you've spoken with, is very read up on statistics, and I'm not that guy, to be fair, and to your listeners. But 20 to 22 vets kill themselves every day, and we're trying to make that not be the case because it's a tragedy, and most veterans, you if you are a veteran or if you know some people that have, and it's sad that even when we do our, like, we do a Buffalo event every month, and you try to talk to people about it, people don't want to hear that because when we went to war, the country didn't go to war. Our soldiers went to war. Life over here was the same, and if you talk to people that, and I have talked to a few people that weren't, that didn't serve, or that were just living life during our wartime, and other than seeing on Fox News or CNN or whatever, and not always getting the full picture of what was going on, people over here didn't even notice that. So I feel like that's the struggle or the disconnect that we're having, to be honest, and why a lot of these vets are just taking their own lives because they came back to a place that they don't belong to or they can't relate to, because most people that were over there, that we missed the, like, the crash in 07, 08 or whatever, whenever all that happened in America. We
Yeah.
weren't even here for that. So, like, we weren't here. I couldn't tell you about it because I was in a different country doing different things. And I feel like maybe that's a big problem of why we're having this problem.
When you were over there, did you were you allowed a strong connect to back home, like phone calls and?
Yeah, well, yeah, I had a cellular device that I had to pay a lot of money for, and I had a phone card so I could call my wife at the time, and my at the time she was pregnant, so, like, I didn't see my son be born, but when my son was born, I could call whenever I wasn't on a mission or had downtime. I would call him, or we had, like, a rec center, like an MWR place where you could use a telephone there, but you'd have to pay for phone cards, and but they had, like, internet in some places and some spots, but not on the JCOB. We had our, like, on the JCOB we just had what we had.
And you had said you were medically released for your back. Do you use medical marijuana just for your back, or do you suffer from other injuries from the?
Um, so I was when I got discharged from the army, I was just they gave me a 20% disability, 10 for my back, 5 for my feet, and 5 for something else. I don't even remember, to be honest. It was in I was medically chaptered out in 2010. Um, the VA, however, I receive a 60% disability currently, for PTSD, my back and my shins. Um, I have a lot more other things wrong with me, like tendonitis and stuff, and stomach and stuff like that problems, but I don't. I just use cannabis. They used to give me pills for my back and for stomach pains and stuff like that, and now I only use medical marijuana.
And how many? Like, how long have you been a part of the 22 Too Many?
Um, I've been aware of them since they were in existence, and Patrick Seifert uh, has asked me to like come to meetings and stuff for a long time, and I haven't been a member or active until about 2 months ago when my business teacher reached out to me because I was doing my business paper about veteran uh, cannabis shop for veterans. Um, and he sent me a link and showed me that Patrick was allowed to reopen his shop as under Whippia Hempfest Central, and I got in touch with him to see about helping them guys out. I've been a student for the past 3 years full time, so like I really didn't have much time to give to it, and I didn't to be honest, I had anxiety about going around people I didn't know. The only person I really knew was Patrick from the shop, so
So
that
how? Oh, sorry.
that's why I didn't become or come on board previously, was just anxiety about meeting new people that I didn't really know, or you know what I mean. And I had so much more stuff going on that I just couldn't dedicate any more time to anything else than what I was doing.
So when you got out of the service, how old were you?
I joined when I was 18 to get out of Tennessee, to be honest.
That was your initial reason for joining, among other
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I needed to, I grew up in poverty my whole life, and I looked around and I knew I didn't want to be where I was, and I didn't know what to do or how to do it. And this was I figured an opportunity to create a life, you know.
Do you have, from what you know now, like, do you have any regrets about joining?
To be honest, no. Um, when I joined though, I I'm 31 now, so, and I grew up with my grandfather as like I didn't have a dad, so my grandpa raised me on a 100-acre farm, and we grew up in the 80s. So I have a very strong work ethic. And when I joined, I expected Full Metal Jacket when I went to basic uh, training. Have you ever
Yep.
seen that movie, Full Metal Jacket?
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Great movie, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's what I expected when I went to basic. What I come to learn is it's not that. I mean, it's tough, and it's very mentally daunting and physically daunting, but I didn't see anything worse than where I came from. So like for me, that's where a lot of people were like, I think that's where a lot of people got broken, and that's their job, is to break you so they can build you. But I enjoyed that brotherhood and that family and that camaraderie. That's really the only thing I miss to this day, is that camaraderie, and knowing that you have something that you and somebody and your brothers that you're living through together.
Yeah, Patrick was telling me that there's actually a lot of suicide deaths among service people that have never been deployed yet. Do you have any experience with that or anything to say about that?
I mean, I don't. I don't know, because like the whole time I don't think I had a suicide in our unit, but I don't think you see much in infantry probably. I've not read up on those statistics to even speak about it, but I know in my time, and there was a few deaths. Most of them were uh, there might have been two suicides my whole 5 years before, or 3 years before the deployment. It wasn't until afterwards that I noticed within my brotherhood units, you know what I mean, like that there were a few.
And you've been using cannabis to counteract your symptoms and your pain. Just curious, like how much? how much cannabis do you need to be fully effective?
More than I can afford. um,
It's expensive, eh?
yes.
And
Well, to be honest, I buy a quarter pound on the first of the month, and that doesn't even get me through the month. So,
how much is a quarter pound of medical marijuana?
um, off the top of my head, I couldn't even tell you the price. To be honest, it depends on where you go, and it's so depends on what you. It's and that's see, and that's my problem with like if it's my medicine, how is it so expensive? Versus like if you go to Walgreens, you can pick up a prescription for $100 that will last you the month at max with insurance. So
Well, in your
but
personal experience, like what's the major difference in people's demeanors between the ones who are on prescription pills for PTSD and the ones who take medical cannabis?
um the so from my uh own personal experience with this is people that are on the pills stay at home and they don't want to go out and socialize. Whereas I've noticed more cannabis users are more apt to even put themselves like you might be uncomfortable, but you're okay with it, and you're willing to put yourself out there to be in that situation, so you're not secluded. That's my biggest take on the differences. Cannabis allows you to want to socialize and want like not even the people that I know that were on the pills. They want to socialize, but they just don't know how to. So they just stay by themselves because that's where everything's okay, but it's not.
And you've been going to school. What have you been taking?
Well, this quarter I'm taking business management and accounting, but last quarter I took botany, which was cool. It was a very long class though. It was a 3-hour class, 2 times a week, and we had a real hippy dippy teacher. So it was rough for me to sit there for 3 hours, but we did get a break like an hour and a half into it, like midway. So I would go out and medicate in my car, and that would make it better.
Does it does medicating with medical marijuana like affect your concentration at all in the class?
Yes, it makes me be able to actually focus
Oh, it does.
because when I'm not medicated, I'm processing so fast everything, and it's hard to describe it. Like I'm always analyzing everything, and like I have a lot of anxiety, so I'm always looking everywhere at the doors, people, any little sound. So I always go to class with one earbud in my ear, and I always have music on. I'm always medicated, and a 3.4 GPA, so I can't really say that it's been not good. And I don't know. But that's like we were talking earlier. Cannabis affects everybody differently. So, it doesn't matter if it's indica or sativa. For me, as long as I'm medicated, I'm a functional person, and my life is better.
And what's your end goal with your schooling?
To be fair, my buddy told me that I was a dumbass if I did not receive my education for free because of the GI Bill, and I did pay 1,000 or $1,200 of my first month or first year in the army. They took $100 out of my paycheck for the GI Bill. So why not get an education? And they pay you to get an education. So I look at it as a job and an ability to educate myself and have a degree, because even if I don't use the degree on paper, it might help me further my goals in life.
Absolutely. I'm up here in Canada. What is the GI Bill?
So the GI Bill is specifically, I couldn't tell you, but what it does is it allows veterans who paid for it. You have a choice when you sign your contract. Do you want to pay? It's called for this Montgomery GI Bill. Do you want to pay $100? I mean, it might have changed. I joined in 04/05, so I don't know like what the wording is now, but I paid $1,200 for. They will pay. I think it's for 3 years or something.
And
I'm not
that covers
really
quite a bit of your
sure,
school.
but they will cover schooling for you. And then like I initially went to school under voc rehab because I'm a disabled vet. If you're over 30% disabled, they will teach you a new skill so you can go and try to be productive in society and actually live life. And you know it's not cheap to live.
No.
And you don't have any other skills than being a soldier. It might be a rough go at it, to be honest. So um, they sent me to school under my vocational rehabilitation, um, and that's called a voc rehab, and I used that to get my automotive degree. And since I had the GI Bill because I paid into it, I have an extra, I think, 3 years, which I'm not doing another 3 years of school, but I'm working towards BA in business administration with my GI Bill.
So with these last 3 years of schooling you've done, is that including the automotive, or you did automotive before
Yes.
that?
No, that's three. I did the automotive in like 2 years, and half of that covers down because it's an AA. For half of it covers what I need to do to receive my BA.
Yeah, you've accomplished a lot. I'm quite impressed. And what happens to your disability after you start working a new job? Do you get any reimbursement, or is it like, okay, you're working somewhere else, you're done?
No, I get 60% for the rest of my life
And
until I die, I believe.
okay, so I mean that's
I mean,
good
it,
extra income for as you move forward in life.
it helps. I mean, it's not something like I have a job and then I work for Patrick as well, but that's volunteer. So I have to work and go to school and like go to school. If I didn't go to school, I'd have to work 2 jobs to survive. They give me a stipend of 14 to $1,600 depending on how many credits you do for being a student under the GI Bill.
Well,
So
that's one good thing they're giving back to veterans. I haven't looked into to all of the benefits in the states, so I don't have a lot to say about that. I've just really been talking to veterans about how they use medical cannabis and the different events and things they're trying to push forward to change the way the states looks at medical marijuana. So
um,
it's interesting to hear that about that benefit that you're receiving there.
yeah, if it wasn't for marijuana though, I wouldn't make it through. Like I don't want I still have, like I told you, I still have 3 more quarters to do, and I don't want to do it, to be honest. But I refuse to fail and refuse to waste my time, so I'm gonna do it anyways. But if it wasn't for cannabis, I would not have pushed through this to accomplish it at all. I would have just quit and went to work and said F it.
Well, good thing you're using medical cannabis then, 'cause it's going to pay off in the end.
Yeah.
Um, well, Cody, I covered all the questions I wanted to ask you. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we say goodnight here?
Oh, one thing. So I'm very proud of this achievement that week. that I made a relationship. And so any of your listeners or viewers, if they hear this and they're in the Washington State and around Thurston County or JBLM or whatever, uh, BJJ of Olympia, every Wednesdays we do a veterans night that they teach kickboxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And if you are a honorably discharged veteran, they will it's free every Wednesday for veterans. So, and then we have meetings in Olympia at our downtown store, 22 Too Many Olympia. On Sundays, we have a meeting that I have to go to at 5 that we have every week that you can come into and just, if you're dealing with something that you need to get off your chest, that you can, in a friendly environment that's not, you know. And then in July, we have our third PTSD march, July 22nd. We march from the Capitol to downtown for PTSD, and we got that added to the bill in this state, which was cool.
That's fantastic. What was I gonna say here? BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I do that up here, and
That is amazing. That's awesome.
I know
I
some.
see you have your counter with 2 belts. I wasn't gonna say nothing about it, but
Yeah, Conor McGregor with 2 belts. That's my profile picture. You know, he's the king. You can't really say anything against that.
uh, you gotta defend the belts, though, man. I'm a purist. I've been watching UFC since 1999, and he's a bad man. But I got a lot of problems with what he's doing and holding up the sport and making it the WWE.
There's no denying that there are a list of killers that are waiting to have a chance to get that belt, and yeah, I get what you're saying. That it's definitely holding things up with this Mayweather thing, and
Oh no, I hope he, man. Please just let him connect with one left. I hate Mayweather, man. I buy all his fights because I hope he's the best defensive boxer ever. I will give him that. But damn it, he runs on that bicycle.
you know, this is a good idea. A PTSD awareness slash UFC podcast.
Oh, look, man. I've been trying, my buddy. Look, I've been dying because I told him. I said, look, man. I love, like, I'm sad that Joe Rogan's contract's coming up, and I don't think he's gonna renew it. And like, I'm going to see Joe Rogan on August 4th in Seattle. I seen him last 420. Like, UFC without Joe Rogan, just I can't even
It'd be
like put
interesting
that.
to see who they'd replace him with.
Brian Stan, DC, Dominic Cruz, and Daniel Cormier. I mean, I don't feel like they've already have that built in if you watch the fights. Did you watch last night's fights? Those were amazing.
No, sorry, I didn't see them.
Oh, man, Mark Hunt, man, he destroyed Derek Brunson or Derek Lewis, the
That's
Black Beast. It was an amazing fight.
that's good that Mark Hunt won the last one.
Oh, thank God, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have to fight somebody on steroids, man.
Well,
Look,
we
I
got
am down. Anytime you want to, I order every pay-per-view fight. So if you ever want to do a podcast, I don't like whatever you want to link up with me and we can figure something out. I'm not a social, like I said, I'm not really a tech guy, but I order every pay-per-view. We have big events and
do a UFC podcast.
we're all
Unofficially, of course, if UFC is
unofficial.
listening.
Yes, we will not show no images.
The UUFC, the unofficial UFC. All right. Well, yeah, well, Cody, it's been great having you on here. This has been the Vapes4Vets podcast. Love to have you back on, Cody, and looking forward to working together with 22 Too Many on raising some funds for you guys and offering veterans discounts on products.
Oh man, I appreciate that so much. You told me about that. That warms my heart to get people to help us out. Like you told me about that Canada stuff. That's amazing that they actually reimburse you. Like I wish that could happen down here, or just give us some or something. I don't, you know, they want to give their own medical, like grow their own medical and then give it to veterans or sign it out or whatever you got to do. But I mean, the price is, I don't see how, like it's not economical to medicate with cannabis. It's not, but it's by far the best medicine that has helped me in my life.
Those who don't know, in Canada, veterans they were getting 10 grams reimbursed a day, and that was reduced to 3. So it's quite night and day what's happening in Canada compared to the States in regards to reimbursing vets for marijuana, medical marijuana.
And
So
that's actually how much I smoke a day. Like I smoke 4 grams a day, and that's just because I can't afford to smoke more. But I see why they could decrease that because a lot of people, if they were smoking 10 grams a day, not a lot of people are like me that could function on that. To be fair, I could function gladly. That would make my life very, very happy if I could have 10 grams of marijuana a day, free of charge. I'd
what's
be a very productive person.
I'm sure a lot more food to get eaten too, eh?
Oh no, I don't. I don't suffer from that ailment.
Oh no.
No, my eyes might get a little closing a little bit, but that's about it. I don't get sleepy. I get very energized, very motivated, and unburdened by my other struggles. That's what marijuana does for me.
I've never been, but I've looked into Seattle Hemp Fest, and I'm sure not having the munchies and the sleepiness affect you is effective there.
Oh yeah, that I've never been, but this year I believe our organization, the 22 Too Many, will be there. I know we're going to be at the July 4th, the third largest fireworks show, Freedom Fest or Freedom Fair in Tacoma. We're going to be there, and that's going to be pretty amazing. So,
And what was the date on the last one? I know that
the 4th,
sorry?
the 4th of July.
Oh, 4th of July. Okay.
Yeah, it,
And
it's in Tacoma. It's called Freedom Fair. It's like the third largest firework display. I didn't even know that. That's amazing.
and
So
you guys are setting up a tent in Seattle. That's August the 18th area that weekend.
I think so.
Well, that should be good. I know Patrick was telling me that about 100,000 people go there, so it's
Right?
a lot of exposure for you guys to raise
That's,
awareness.
and we just got to get the word out. You know, if you know a veteran, call that veteran. Make sure he's doing okay, because too many of our brothers are just killing themselves. And I agree. Patrick has a saying like, if this was going on in the wartime, that we were losing 20 to 22 a day, there would be outrage. Why is there not outrage that we have 20 to 22 people, veterans that served our country, killing themselves every day?
Does it not make the news a lot?
I mean, I to be honest, I don't watch a lot of the news. I can't do it. It's so biased. But I mean, I think it's getting more tread. I see more uh, other organizations and like-minded organizations like ours, not even just with cannabis, but in this suicide crisis. I see them popping up, and like there's more organizations out there that's trying to do this. So that's at least a good thing, and the numbers I think are dropping. So, but I mean, enough's not being done. That's for sure. You
Yeah,
know, 20 to 22 a day is just not acceptable number.
and that's not
Zero.
including
And that's not even including the ones that die that from taking their medicine that just say I'm done with this shit and take too many. You know what I mean? That don't count them at all.
that's terrible.
So I would really like to know what the number with with those included would be, because it might be worse than what we even think it is.
I was talking to someone who said 41. was the number with
With
overdoses and a couple other factors.
holy shit, God.
But that I may have that wrong, so if they're listening, send me an email and correct me.
Yeah. Well, even if it's not, like I said, I know it's more than 20, and that's not acceptable. You know, I don't know what the nation. I forgot I did a paper, but I don't even remember what the average was. But we're like double the average of suicide as a veterans compared to the normal society or something like that. And it's just I don't know why we can't take care of people that went and did the stuff that other people didn't want to do. You know.
Well, thank you for what you're doing with 22 Too Many, raising awareness and doing what you guys can to prevent further veteran suicide. Um, Cody, can't wait to have you back on, and yeah, thanks for donating your time.
Oh, thank you for having me on. This is pretty cool, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing to help veterans as well. I mean, you're doing a lot, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's all thanks to Namaste Technologies. They're the ones who approved this. Like Sean Dollinger, the CEO. You got Corey Zellickson, David Hughes. Like, there's just a lot of great guys there that see this as a problem and want to help where they can.
That's awesome. Are they veterans?
No, no, well, I don't know them well enough to say that they're not, but
Okay.
they're the board of Namaste.
Oh, well, that's just you know, it's even more awesome if they're not because that means that people other than our brothers are trying to take care of us. Because right now I feel like it's you got to have your battle buddies. So
They definitely could have a record I don't know about. There could be some who knows, JTF2 guys that's up here in Canada or Navy SEALs down there.
okay,
But anyway, it's been great having you on, and until we talk to you next time, thanks for coming.
thank you.
All right, take care, Cody.
Oh, you too.